Hello, and welcome to yet another episode of the Back to the TARDIS podcast, the podcast where we take a look at every single episode of the 2005 revival of BBC's Doctor Who. I'm Jeff.
I'm Skylar.
And I'm Celeste PogChamp.
And today we are discussing Series 4, episode, I believe, 4 and 5. Series 4, episodes 4 and 5, The Sontaran Stratagem and the Poison Sky by Helen Raynor. This was the first appearance of the Sontarans in the Revive series, and in general, I think their first appearance in, they showed up during the Sixth Doctor. Okay, so it wasn't quite as long, but, all the Sontaran stories that I know of are, 3 or 4 era. It also featured, the first, big return of Unit, and is the start of our 2-week-long Double Martha special. Because Martha's back here, and Martha will also be back in the Torchwood episodes that we are discussing. And it's also Donna's first trip home, which means we get Wilf moments.
Wilf the Gilf. He's back.
We stand.
Pour one out.
So we start with, there's this one thing here that fucks with me so hard, and it's the entire concept of the fact that the Atmos is able to take control of the car. Because if you're putting shit in cars, I'm pretty sure it has to be extensively tested and checked, and there's no way that would have gotten into a car without immediately getting caught and being no, you're not allowed to do that. Now, if he had actual governmental ties, I'd get it, but he doesn't, so I'm
I had a theory about that. Go ahead.
Skylar, you can go first.
Okay. I don't know. I kind of was thinking this over because I was just there's no way that especially Unit or equivalents around the world would not be okay with this. But then I thought how good of a PR move would it be for England to be yeah, this guy came from us and he basically solved world pollution. Just how big of a PR thing that would be to be and yeah, there would, if it actually worked, which it does, just not in a non-homicidal way.
It does actually work.
Yeah, so I was just thinking man, can you imagine just the surge in just prattish nationalism that would come of that. It just made me think oh yeah, of course they would push that through if it actually worked. But yeah, that is a headcanon answer, I will admit it, but it fits in my brain so well that it's just oh yeah, that would happen.
Celeste?
My sort of theory was basically just we already know there was stuff hidden within it that was out of sync in a time pocket, basically. So I'm just thinking they could have hidden it that way. Because that's how they hid the smoke. So
yeah, and it is Sontaran's tech. So maybe they do have something that is able to surreptitiously interface with transport, because that does actually make sense. As well, okay, it doesn't necessarily make sense for Sontarans because they're all face me in single combat, but but yes, it starts, and immediately our pre-credit sequence is journalists getting fucking iced by having the car drive into the river, which this feels like that sort of thing feels like only something RTD era would do.
He has a lot of car related deaths, I've noticed.
Or
There's a lot.
Yeah, or autopilots or other things, something like that, or technology being hijacked to kill people.
Yes, I've noticed that a lot, because you have that here, you have it, I can't remember exactly, but I think that happens in Turn Left. There's definitely a couple other stories where it starts off with rooms being locked and gas being sprayed in or something like that.
Also, fucking
When's the Doctor Who RTD version of Maximum Overdrive by Stephen King?
please. But also, doesn't Chibnall fucking pull from this too in Spyfall that the car tries to fucking kill them? Like, granted, that isn't.
That's a common enough trope that I'm not going to call that explicitly trying to pay for trying to crib from RTD era for like brownie points. There are other things that he does that I will absolutely make that claim, but not this, because that's a little bit too widespread.
Yeah, no, it just made me think of that since obviously Series 12 has come out more recently, but yeah, it's a good opening. I forgot that we started with the Radigan Academy, and I fucking thought it's just like, oh man, this is like the billionaires version of
when they were all running
and
and doing the jogging outside, I got like flashbacks to like X-Men First Class. It was like, wait a second.
Yeah, there is there is definitely a lot of vibes there, especially just because of like the style of the
older sort of manner, definitely. Also the thing that's also really RTD about this is the car GPS repeating "this is your final destination" as it drives into the lake, which is like another level of like extra like camp. It's just like, that's RTD.
I wonder who the Sontarans hired to do their voice acting.
That was the Final Destination thing was totally Radigan's idea, like 100%.
Oh, absolutely. It is funny because every time I can't take that scene seriously because it reminds me of the scene in The Office where they drive into the river because of the GPS.
There's a scene where that happens. I haven't watched The Office, so I know it's blasphemous, but I'm like one of the few people around who hasn't watched The Office, I guess. Yeah.
Wow. You're really losing the white women.
That's what we'll do after this podcast. Back to The Office. Let's go.
All right. And then obviously then Martha calls the doctor up on the cell phone that she gave him at the end of Series 3, which is nice continuity there. And yeah.
Get a continuity point.
It's
12 more and you can redeem it to retcon your entire fucking franchise. Sorry.
No, I like honestly, like the level of like, I swear, like fucking oh god, what was I gonna say? Like the level of continuity in RTD era specifically is like, it feels like it's way higher than like any other era, really, where like callbacks like that are a thing. And like the fact that Martha left that cell phone for 10 specifically to be able to contact him again is like, I don't know if you were setting this up from the start, but you know,
feels MCU in the good way.
I sort of disagree. I would say the type of continuity is different between RTD and Moffat, because within RTD the seasonal arcs aren't as heavily embedded, but as you said, there are those like continuity
or going
things
back
that
to
go
New Earth
seasons
multiple
and are,
times,
like,
or having the same newscaster show newscaster show up every single time there's a modern Earth
there are
episode.
these sort of like right, and so there are these sort of like overarching content. I don't want to say overarching, but there's these like little trends that mark it as being in the same universe, but there's not a same narrative continuity where you have, obviously you have stuff like with Saxon that's sort of embedded throughout the season, but it's not quite to the same level. as like Moffat, who does like very consistent seasonal arcs, but doesn't have those like little things that connect between seasons. So I'd say they do continuity in two different ways. One sort of emphasizing like these seasonal story arcs, and one sort of emphasizing this like, more loosely connected, looser but definitively connected universe. And then you have Chibnall, who's just like, oh no. Just has no continuity.
It's setting continuity versus character continuity.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
like loosely base that off of. But yeah, stuff like Martha. The fact that and I forgot this because I don't remember the Runaway Bride very well. But the fact that her mom as well recognizes 10, like of course she would. It's like you're not. To me, it's like imagine if Jeff from the 11th Hour, the one with the laptop, like popped up in like series 7 as like he got that job.
Since he was the man in the chair, he got that Jeff
job
from the 11th Hour somehow like. No, sorry. What happens is somehow Luther from the Umbrella Academy runs into 11 is like, hang on, because that's the same guy.
Yeah, you're right. So it's like, I mean, crossover jokes aside, it's just like that doesn't really happen. Aside from like Clara is the like one like sneaky example,
and
of
that was still within the season. That she got
appreciate the episode. Yeah.
Anyways, also, I like that they don't even, like, there is no school reunion here. Like, they just are kind of like, Donna and Martha get along here really well, and it's kind of disappointing that they spend most of the episode and the next story separated. And it, again, makes me salty that we didn't get a full season of them.
Yeah, I definitely think we got cheated there. Because, like, you see these like, immediate flashes of, like, really good chemistry, especially with the Doctor becoming, like, the third wheel on his own show. Like,
let me just go real quick to Archive of Our Own. Keep talking.
Right.
No, the stories exist.
Literally in that moment, it feels like the Doctor is like third wheeling because Martha and Donna are both like so competent in like, their own ways that sort of like can do, obviously they can't do the alien techie stuff, but like all of the other like executive figuring things out, investigating, getting things done sort of stuff. Like they have all those skills and they don't like fight, that was the sort of thing he was like expecting them to fight, but like no, they're just like, oh yeah, you're like the other one, hey homie, how's it going? And it's this brilliant moment. Like I really agree with you. I think they would have been like really good companions together because usually when we have like, or at least in New Who, when we have like multiple companions, they're people who like knew each other before, at least tangentially, and so having like two completely unrelated companions coming from like very different backgrounds would be something incredibly.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. Okay. There are only 21 fics tagged as Martha Jones / Donna Noble. I'm gonna need y'all to get on that.
I'll fix that.
And those are rookie numbers. You got to pump those numbers up.
I can put a few out. Just tweet the account. Tweet us your prompts. I'll write them. Anyways, I have a question that I wanted to come to y'all with. Does it count?
Okay.
Does it count as fridging Martha if we technically still have the actress around and she's playing an arguable, like, different version of herself? Because that's the one thing, like, I forgot the whole thing about, like, the quote-unquote evil Martha duplicate, and I was just like, man, it would have been... I get why you do it narratively, but it's just like, I want more Martha. I know we get more of her
plot,
in the next arc,
I get what you're saying here, but, like, at the same time, in the plot, it kind of has to be her. No other. It would not make sense for it to be any other character.
Yeah, I'm
because they need to be high enough ranking in unit, and they need to be close enough to 10.
No, yeah, I'm saying, like, if you're doing this,
it literally can't be anyone else.
If you're doing the story structure that you write that up as, like, of course it has to be Martha. You don't no one else exists yet to take that spot. But I don't know. If you're a writer,
It's pronounced splo.
I'm sorry. But yeah, I don't know. It gave me mixed feelings. It isn't as bad. Like, obviously they didn't kill her. That's like true fridging right there. But like, it was just kind of one of those things where it's just like, okay, I know we get her in the doctor's daughter, but like, come on. But yeah, more Martha is always good.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see here. Oh yeah. But no, like I feel like just where they go to the warehouse and Martha literally calls them in and like they all like swoop in like super military for this like normal well, obviously not normal ass, but like relatively civilian looking factory. And Martha literally says, we're looking for illegal aliens. And Donna goes, is that what you did to her, turned her into a soldier? That's not subtle. That is extremely unsubtle commentary.
Yeah, I'm of two minds on that. I'm kind of like... Because we know after this, or after a while, she goes freelance and we see her with guns. And I'm just like, wouldn't it be nice if
she was supposed to join Torchwood... But then the BBC cut the fucking goddamn run order.
Yeah, I was just like, wouldn't it be nice if her character arc was like, is if she kind of tried to do what Harry Potter does in canon. It's just like, well, I know how to fight, so let's just, I'll keep fucking doing that. Realize she's not good at that, and you can keep her as a field medic in unit or whatever, but it's just like, I don't know. I'm of two minds of that, and I am very mixed about how they end her story. And that's not even touching on the fact that they were just like, oh yeah, let's pair her up with the only other black character
Again, that was supposed, like, part of the reason why that oofs so much is because it was legitimately supposed to have happened over a season of Torchwood. And then it didn't happen because the BBC cut the fucking goddamn run order.
Yeah,
this
so
is
it's
so
just
sad.
Yeah, I'm on mixed feelings of it, but I do think they use Martha in the context of her being in unit and what unit is to good effect. And even though unit is like, you can heavily criticize a lot of their actions, ultimately they're not like stupid evil. They're just like in the system, so they're going to be part of the problem, even if they do have good intentions, which is like, it's a nice gray area that like you could easily fuck up and be just like, well, these people are terrible and they're dumb, but they're not terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Hold on a sec. There's a little nod here to something called the unit dating crisis, which is like in fucking in like classic canon, the point where when 3 is stranded on Earth, and he like helps out unit and that sort of thing, is always sort of like in canon it was inconsistent and unsure whether or not it took place in the 70s or in the 80s. So there's a little nod there. They investigate the Atmos factory, and then like the two like meathead grunts find the Sontaran stuff inside the like the basement and get got.
I like how that one soldier is like educated enough in biology to be like, hey, this might be amniotic fluid.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, we can't have the doctor in this scene, so sure, let's make slightly educated soldier guy our our eyes and ears for this scene.
Mm-hmm. Um, that clone is like pretty like that's kind of like limits of what they could get away with. Like, whoo,
That was like
like
borderline
even like
Matrix, like just got out of the thing. Like obviously not that horrible.
yeah,
But
exactly.
the thing in the neck and the mouth webbed together, it was just like, oh geez.
Yeah, it's like oh god, I don't even think like the gangers have like that much like straight up body horror. Like I'm not sure, but like I don't believe that they do.
Yeah, I can't think of anything.
Um so yeah, I like also there's another thing here of like Martha and Donna get used. I feel like a lot of the time Martha and Donna end up like moving the plot along a lot better. Like they take initiative and manage to move the plot forward through things like the fact that like Donna figures out what's going on by like looking through the files and realizing that the sick leave file is completely empty.
Yeah, that was a good use of her experience as a like what she did. That's good.
Let's see. The fucking scene where Donna's like, I need to go visit my parents, and it was like I need to leave, and Ten's like, oh okay, and he gives like a big like goodbye speech, and then he's like, oh no wait, you weren't being like for good.
The fucking music
Like
swells and everything.
it all yeah, like it almost feels like RTD is literally making fun of his own tendency for like big goodbye speeches. Almost.
You outer space dunce.
You absolute fucking
Ten continues to prove that he is big of heart and dumb of ass.
yeah. I find it funny that we have like a whole scene of like Martha investigating this one guy who is like very clearly like out of it in some way. And is just like I am here to like it's like fucking the human music gag. I guess it's my turn to make the Rick and Morty reference this week. But like, you know, like ah yes, human music. Uh Martha gets captured and cloned, and Donna goes back and visits her family, which I have to say there's something about like obviously like the Tylers were like probably like one of the most important, like super important, like one of the most like developed sets of families, but I have a soft spot for Donna's family, especially considering that it's like in some ways kind of the messiest, or at least like there's an interesting tension between like Donna and her mom, which I don't feel like. Well, okay. There's definitely tension between Martha and Martha's mom, but Martha's mom isn't a good character.
Yeah, we unfortunately don't spend much
Or
time
at least
with the
never
fam.
never had enough time to really to develop into a good character, at least. Yeah.
You know, it feels real down to earth. Like, I don't want to say drama, but it's just like it's a very real family archetype. That the episode just takes time to like have Donna exist in this dynamic and see Wilf be awesome as usual, and see Sylvia, I think her name is, be less than awesome, but
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Um I love how yeah, actually there is that of like Ten's literally like, "Hey, why do you have these in your car if they're potentially not safe?" And they're like, "Well, they're standard on government vehicles, so we can't get rid of them until we prove that something's up."
I fucking love that side character. The fact that he's just like, oh yeah, it drives.
Yeah, can we get an F in chat? Can we get an F in chat for Ross?
F's, so many F's. But a push up in front of the casket. Anyways, yeah, it was just, yeah, the fact that he's like, oh yeah, this drives me around a bend as he's like going around a. It was a dumb pun, but like, there's two really dumb jokes in this arc. That I unabashedly love, and I don't know. I always find it a mark of good writing that even side characters like Ross, who are ultimately there just to like be someone the Doctor can talk to, is like even that's done well. It's something I miss.
Companion substitute. Yeah. I like the fact that Ratigan is literally hiding like a fucking like a teleport thingy in his house, as basically like it looks like modern art or some weird tech thingy. And I love that it's like, well, yes, you see, any normal person would just be like, huh, that's just weird, like, art or tech thingy. But me, I press buttons.
Yeah, I was about to say, it was just like, it's the modern art joke.
Yeah, it's the modern art joke from Fires of Pompeii.
Yeah. I also like.
I mean, that
I
was
don't know.
a good little. It was a good joke though, because like rich people just like get all this shit in their house. It's like there for
Yeah,
no reason.
exactly,
So, like, some big weird box. Of course, no one's gonna like fucking question that.
Yeah.
They're just gonna think it's a thing.
Yeah.
A modern art installation.
And I love how. I love how Ten.
I don't know, rich people shit, man.
I love how Ten immediately challenges Ratigan. He's a grammar Nazi to him, and then that like sets Ratigan off on his whole thing throughout the rest of the episode about tautologies, which I learned when I was a.
And of course he walks in and is just immediately like showing off like, haha, I'm just as smart as you, if not smarter.
Yeah, and just immediately dressing him down. It's like, oh yeah, it's been a long time since anybody said no to you. Just immediately showing how little power he has. And I think one of the reasons Ratigan is at least not like a get off my screen character or like someone I hate is just that that's so apparent in his performance that he's trying to not be as pathetic as he is, and like we'll get to his like quote unquote like redemption or like his one good act, but the fact that he's like there's a little bit of an understanding over the course of things that it's just like, wow, for all of what I have and for all that I like posture, I'm really not what I think I am.
Yeah.
I'm not hot shit. And so, yeah, I think, again, it's not anything like special, but it's just like layers that they could have easily just not had. I kind of jokingly made a reference to like, oh, I bet Jesse Eisenberg based his Lex Luthor performance in Batman v Superman off of Ratigan, but worse.
Yeah.
Like, they could have so easily done that. But it's like, it's not. So I appreciated that. So of course 10 finds the teleporter. He transports up to the ship, makes a god tier pun, intrude a window.
Yeah. Which, that's a callback, because Van Staten makes that joke in Dalek.
Oh, I forgot about that.
The intrude, how did he get in, intrude a window joke. That's a joke Van Staten makes.
Man.
Intruder, that's the, it's the same setup of like because the Sontarans see him and they go like intruder, and he goes, well, how did he get in? Intrude a window, and he's like, bye.
Oh, in through the window. Okay.
Yeah.
Now I get it. Okay.
Yeah.
Also, I have some classic Who question for you. So, like, the Sontarans deal, is that, like, changed much from, like, what we know? Is there still the war of, like, with the Rutans and their
I
clones?
believe that is like obviously the design was updated, but I still think like the general MO is pretty similar. I think I haven't seen that many Sontaran classic stories though, so
no. As a writer, when I heard like they've been at war with this one species for 50,000 years, I was like, fuck off. That's too large a time. I'm sorry. I know Doctor Who is like crazy with time scaling, but 50,000 years, like, no. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I do like how like it's interesting because like a lot of this episode feels sort of like it's taking the idea of Sontarans and like the idea of like the like surreptitiously like putting this stuff in your cars and like making clones or like hypnotizing people like feels like a much more like post 9/11 take on the Sontarans, which is interesting because even 10 literally points it out is explicitly how the Sontarans don't do things. Because their whole thing is like face me and fight, and that's part of the reason why their weakness is on like the back of their neck, because the thing is like they always face their enemy.
Was that weakness from like a classic Who thing? Was that like
yes?
Yeah, that's a very that's a very classic Who kind of setup in my opinion. Like,
yeah,
I think that's the vibe I got.
I'm pretty sure it has been that way since classic.
Yeah. Shame that we don't really get anything more interesting on the Sontarans, and I don't really I don't count Strax as interesting. Like, I'm sorry. I like that actor, but no.
Yeah. Hold on. At least take the lead for a second. Actually, I'm gonna check that and see if that is actually, because I think it was, but I'm not sure. Yeah, yes it is. Yeah, that's from classic. Also, like you can tell this is like a later episode because it explicitly takes it explicitly makes fun of like the silly Sontaran appearance. Because like literally like the first thing is like, you look like a baked potato.
I'm guessing they look like that in classic too.
Yes, yes, yes. Oh
Even
man,
more
you
so.
want to see what they look like? Yeah,
Absolutely.
you want to look like you want to see what they fucking look like in look at this fucking look at this fucking
You go, King.
like just actually derpy,
Yeah, they haven't refined the makeup.
Looks like a 60s Spider-Man cartoon supervillain.
Yeah, they haven't refined the makeup to where like Strax is in Series 6 and Series 8, but like it still looks like good. But
Oh my.
a definite improvement from classic.
Ooh. Yeah. That's an appearance, all right.
Anyways. Also, like the thing here where 10 picks up the fucking the tennis racket and uses like the tennis shot to knock the Sontaran out, that feels like a 7 moment. Like that feels like something 7 would do.
I mean, the 11th Doctor shows in The Lodger that he is absurdly good at all human sports.
That is true. I mean, to be fair, Matt Smith is actually a was a footballer in the past, but yeah.
Oh yeah, he was gonna pursue it before like something medical happened and he went into acting, I believe. So.
Yeah. So yeah, the clone Martha gets activated, which I will I guess I am like moving ahead, like slightly ahead for now, but I really like that at like it is explicitly stated later that like 10 knew the entire time.
Oh yeah, he should, frankly.
Yeah. Also, I like that 10 like Portal 2 paradoxes the Atmos system to make it so they don't like get driven into the river. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, that was. You'd think somebody else would have thought of that, but like, whatever.
Yeah, whatever.
Just roll with it. Just roll with it.
Yeah.
Radigan was like, if anybody is as clever as me, they can get out.
Then
And
they
that's what
deserve to live.
Fucking,
Yes.
is that when they start doing the Sontar Ha thing and then Radigan joins in like a fucking dweeb?
Yeah.
I fucking love that.
exactly.
I was just like, dude, they're gonna kill you. Like, what are you doing?
He looks like such a dork too. He's just like trying really hard.
Yeah.
This is what Proud
Now,
Boys meetings
like-
are like, actually. It's just that.
Oh man.
I mean, I'm apolitical. What were we saying?
Totally, 100%. 100% apolitical. Oh man. Okay. All right. So the 10 investigates the car and figures out like what's going on there, And as that happens, they start spreading the gas from all the cars, and that's our cliffhanger for this story. We get our obligatory show up appearance from like the one fucking the one news anchor that is in like all the RTD thingies, like all the RTD like Earth invasion stories that are like set like in modern times.
The ANN anger.
Yeah.
Huh.
In before Chibnall brings that character back.
Dude, she's an end of time too, isn't she? Like she was there for it all.
Yeah. Exactly, the whole thing.
I googled ANN, and the second option is Anime News Network.
Lol.
We're living in the worst timeline. It's fine.
Anyway. Yeah, we are. So yeah, the TARDIS the TARDIS gets teleported onto the Sontaran ship. Again, the little thing of like 10, it feels like here that 10 like always knows like what's going on here. Like he's like relatively in control of the situation, except for when it has to do with like unit people not doing what unit people not doing what he wants them to do.
Yeah, the nuke thing was such a non. Like, what
Yeah,
you're gonna
like that
you,
isn't gonna
you're gonna
happen.
nuke the spaceship?
Basically, anytime in Doctor Who, when somebody's like, "We need to do things," you know it's not going to happen.
Yeah. Never ever ever. Um oh, man. Then 10 calls him up, starts like trying to figure out what the plan is. I like how they go into the whole like Sontar Ha thing, and 10's just like, okay, all right, and just like turns the channel for a little bit.
I also love the meta thing of like how the general, I forget his name, is like, you should probably let like an official like government sanctioned like unit sanctioned like diplomatic person. Meanwhile, by Capaldi's time, he's the president of the Earth, and Unit's just like, yeah, you know, we're just gonna fuck off. We'll let you do it. Which yeah, not how that would ever work, but it was just an amusing thing, and it's just like, hi, just you wait, buddy. He is the guy.
Yeah. 10 drops like obvious hints to be like Donna, pick up the phone.
And then she doesn't know who to call.
Yeah.
She's like, "Who do I call?"
Yeah. Also, I really like that fucking like we Radigan like reveals his plan, and then like immediately everyone's like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? And like walks out on him.
Just like, breed.
That is the
I've designed a
most
mating
satisfying-
program.
What did you think was gonna happen, jackass?
I love the part where he's like, "I have a breeding program all planned out." He thought that was just gonna go over A-okay.
Yeah.
And it's even funnier when they're just like, "Bro, they're all way smarter than you. We're just gonna shoot you, dumbass."
Yeah.
Also, the fact that like nobody is afraid of him with a gun, and just like after the first person leaves, it's like, well, guess you ain't gonna do shit, and they just leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, another part of Radigan's character that I liked. I was just like, yeah, you punk ass bitch.
Yeah. Get fucked. Um, I my favorite, honestly, like my favorite thing about Wilf is the fact that repeatedly, like, uh, is like repeatedly, like Sylvia would be like, what are you doing? Like, don't go. Like, he's dangerous. And Wilf's like, nah, fam, go for it, man. Um, uh, the Sontarans just massacre a lot of people, which, like, it's honestly like, I have to hand it to the general man how surprisingly, like, full on, uh like, does not listen to the doctor ever, just keeps going. Is like, nah, man, I'm not gonna listen to you, and uh not gonna listen to you, gonna walk my men into certain death repeatedly. Fuck you. Like, normally you have, like, the fucking uh you have, like the thing, and then, like, a bunch of people die, and then they're like, oh no, okay, all right, we need to be real here. Shit needs to get done. um like, I'll listen to you, but, like, no, he doesn't. He just keeps going.
Ten pulls out his yelly face.
Yeah, the I am very angry face. Yeah.
Get them out of there. I'm doing it terribly because I'm a terrible actor and a terrible person in general, but, like, it's amusing.
uh Also, F in chat, for Ross.
Also, isn't the secondary Sontaran commander literally the actor they get for Strax?
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, it is. Which works out fine because they're a clone race.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not complaining about that. I was just like, I forgot he's, like, right here in the beginning. I assumed he showed up in the Demon's Run. I think is the name of that dumb place.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we get a "Are you my mummy" joke in here.
That was, yeah, I made a comment on that. That was definitely a fun little callback, I guess. I mean, yeah, it's pretty weird to see like references like that. You don't get those as much anymore. Like a joking reference, like to a straight up line from a previous episode, and especially to like a joke about, not enemy, but like quote unquote enemy from a former.
Yeah.
I may prefer the 12 one
I mean,
a bit
like,
better,
the
but
one,
yeah.
yeah, the one that gets called back the most on average is the "Are you my mummy" one. Like, that one shows up by far the most.
Really, what are the other 10?
12 says it in Mummy on the Orient Express.
I did not catch that reference.
Yeah. I think it gets called back, like, multiple times alongside this.
I mean, this is the most obvious one though, because I can't think explicitly of any others.
Like, in general, if a gas mask shows up, they're probably going to go for it.
When all your writers are nerds.
um See, 10 reveals that the entire time he knew that Martha was a clone and just rolled with it. I love how it's like not only he rolled with it because he knew that he was actually stopping things from getting any worse. Like that's great. Um it's revealed that all the gas was the trying to terraform the planet into the perfect planet to make new clones, Sontaran clones for the war, which is an interesting idea and it plays into the whole uh stolen planets arc.
Yeah, out of all the RTD series so far, I think this one does foreshadowing and like laying the breadcrumbs the best because it involves the actual plots of the episode instead of like Bad Wolf being mentioned or Torchwood being mentioned and showing up in one episode before the finale.
Yeah.
Or like Mr. Saxon is kind of going in the right direction, but it's still like, okay, what the fuck is this? Like, this series is actually like a real almost masterclass in how you would do something like this. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. Also I like how like 10, like this is one of the episodes where like I feel like 10 being like super anti-gun works.
Yeah, this is definitely like it works thematically and like in the context of the story as well. So it makes sense here, even if I'm like not totally on board with it. It just thematically makes sense for him to be sort of like disdainful towards guns when it's against the Sontar.
Yeah. Like yeah. Like the fact that he just like Radigan points a gun at him and he's not even phased and just like grabs it and tosses it and I'm like, if I see another fucking gun.
Big Dick 10 moment.
Yeah. So 10 jury rigs up the
Terraformer.
Up something, yeah, the terraformer to burn off, which, you know, I feel like that would probably not work or be a problem.
We'll just ignite the atmosphere. No biggie.
Yeah.
It reminded me of fucking
like
the stupid like trees covering the planet episode in series 8 where it's just like, oh yeah, the trees have grown because a solar flare and it's gonna burn away all the trees, but don't worry, the planet will be protected. I'm just like, no, that's not how that works.
Yeah.
But it was a cool moment, and my favorite part about that is that after it all works, the first person to say anything is Radigan, and he yells, "He's a genius." I was just like, yes, my dude, character, you got it. Let's go.
Yeah. So yeah, I like how it's again, it feels so weird that like I guess it's kind of in character how like focused on this 10 is of like I have to give them a chance, so I have to do this myself, even though there's like totally like ways that he could jury rig something up, that he could do it safely, but it's kind of in character, I guess, and it obviously leads to Radigan swapping places with 10 and sacrificing himself to blow them up
with an appropriate 10 level god tier pun.
Yeah.
I don't know, I kind of read that moment as like 10 being like specifically to Donna, it's like, it's because of you that like, unlike with the Rachnos, you know, I'm giving a chance, or I'm not going to go too far. I got to do this. which like yeah, okay, drama plot, but I was just like, you know what, I can. It's not like out of fucking left field.
Yeah, exactly. Um yeah. So I do like that it's a very almost like a nine thing of like the fact that um like they like the Sontarans are literally like, yeah, like fucking what, you won't do it, and 10 actually literally like he can't do it. Feels like a very like a coward every any day sort of moment.
And his
um
his like attempt to like get them to back down sort of fails because of the Sontarans, and they're just like, then we
yeah,
will
they're
die
not
a
gonna back
glorious
down.
death.
Yeah, yeah, like they're not gonna fucking back down. You nuts, man.
Also, sadly reminded me of when 13 had the same option and then got bailed out by random old dude we met like 30 minutes ago. Um, I definitely
Yeah,
prefer this iteration.
but like this one actually, yeah, no, this one actually has weight because this character is actually fucking interesting. Ugh.
I mean, we're not biased. What are you talking about?
um so yeah, then 10 and Martha and Donna are hanging out in the TARDIS when suddenly the doors lock, and it starts taking off, and it's like, oh, what's going on here? And that is our sort of, it's weird having a cliffhanger like that for just like a random mid-series episode that goes into next week's episode.
Yeah, I honestly kind of miss like cliffhanger ones like this because you get them a lot in like the RTD era where they, at the end of the episode they're sort of like, oh, the TARDIS is doing a thing.
Yeah, like a pickup tag. Yeah.
And you don't get that as much with Moffat. Usually it's like usually it starts with like they're not even in the TARDIS. It's just like the Doctor shows up to like pick up Clara or whatever and be like, hey guys, got an adventure plan for you.
Yeah, exactly. Um So yeah, anything else before we move on to ratings?
I'm good.
Uh, yeah. So it's a good two-parter. The Sontarans are brought back here, and I think handled really really well. Um, the side characters are good. Radigan is surprisingly like he's unlikable when he's supposed to be unlikable, but you don't like his redemption, well, even though it's short, doesn't feel like it's unearned, or like it didn't make sense for it to happen, other than just kind of like the silliness of like 10 being like super like, I have to do it this way. um yeah, it's just entertaining. Like it's there's not necessarily as much to talk about as there was like last week, or as there would have in like the week before that or something like that, but it's keeping the consistent high quality of this series going really well. So I'd give it like a solid like B plus.
We're just going to be giving everything like almost identical rankings this series. I feel like because yeah, there isn't as much like social commentary. I mean, there's some stuff with like the Doctor generally disliking guns and the army and like stuff like that, but that's a continuous part of his character. It's a lot more like sci-fi, like plot driven. We don't really have an equivalent to Sontarans in real life, despite my Proud Boys joke. But yeah, I don't know. The side characters are enjoyable. Everyone's chemistry is good. Even the fucking like tertiary characters with General, I forget his name, and the captain, who we like hear her name once, and there's like that random kiss at the end. Like even something stupid like that is just like, aw. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd put it at a tier slightly above like comfort food if we're to go into like food metaphors. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's high quality. Everything's firing on all cylinders. It's not especially deep. It's not a Rosa or a Demons of the Punjab. It's not having like heavy hitting material like that. But it still takes itself seriously, and it's a good story, and it's a good arc, and I enjoyed it on all aspects, and it continues the high quality of this series. B+.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say like I overall agree. You know, obviously this series is overall just very solid. Um, and this two-parter is no exception. We get, you know, a very good character who comes back, like you said. All the tertiary, you know, even up to the tertiary characters are really good. The sort of, you know, quote unquote villain human gets an interesting arc over the course of the two-parter. Sontarans are just, I would say the Sontarans are honestly this two-parter's like weakest aspect, because there's not really much to them. They're just sort of potato shooty guys, and there's not much more to them.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But beyond that, like everything's really good and interesting. You know, taking advantage of cars is interesting. The whole thing with Atmos is interesting. All the characters and the way they play together are just like well put together. So overall, you know, I'd say if it weren't for the fact that the like, you know, actual villains are kind of I'd say it would be like a near solid episode. But because of that, I'd probably say like 8.5. Yeah, 8.5.
All right. So yeah, next week we will be discussing series 4, episode 6, The Doctor's Daughter. Yeah. Until then, I guess we're gonna move on to our next segment. All right, this week we are talking about Series 2, Episode 6, Reset, which is the first of 3 episodes that feature Martha guesting with the Torchwood team. It's also, oh, well, I'll get to that later, but, like, it is honestly astonishing, like, how much you can just feel, like, it just feels like she fits in perfectly.
Yeah, perhaps it's because I've seen like shows with a more serious tone of her, like since Doctor Who. Like, I'm forgetting the name of the show.
Sense8.
Yes. I was about to say where she's like bi or gay, but like she does well with that type of material. So it was no surprise that she like just kind of like slid into like a perfect like chemistry and like slot in this cast of characters.
Yeah. And is honestly more competent than most of the team.
As she should be.
Like, and means that like by extension everyone else around her becomes more competent. It's wild. Yeah, really, really all I have to say is on this episode is really just like Martha's great. Like the little scenes where like it's Owen messing around with like the surgery thing and like almost hitting Yanto with a laser beam, or Martha figuring out that Jack and Yanto are fucking, or stuff like that. Like it's the little things in this episode that I think go really well. And then obviously there's the thing of like this is the first time Owen dies, which starts a big thing that goes through the rest of the season. But like, at least the stuff, yeah. Out of the stuff that happens in this episode, I think like the little like downtime scenes are like by far my favorite parts.
Also, it's nice to see a character from Doctor Who, which it's not a sanitized show. Even by Chibnall's time, I'd argue it's not a sanitized show, but it's like just the level of like sex and just the messiness of human interaction. That's really just like sort of a Torchwood exclusive thing. So to see a Doctor Who character that's not Jack be in that environment and like how the shift comes and how like
Martha's the only person to cross over.
Exactly. So it's like, and to your point about how that was going to be a whole arc of Martha leaving unit and going independent, and like I would have loved to see Mickey, especially like post Pete's World, like Uber Chad Mickey in Torchwood. Like that would have been such a treat, and I'm so mad we don't have that now. But yeah, that was something else I enjoyed.
Like, yeah, thanks a bunch, Chibnall, for or no, not Chibnall. Thanks a bunch.
Reflex.
That's my autopilot there. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks a bunch. Fucking BBC for cutting the Tortured Run order so Martha and Mickey couldn't come back.
I just had the best joke idea. It's like, what if Jack appearing in series 13 is a secret backdoor pilot for a Torchwood revival, and Graham.
Yeah, that's kicked around. I don't think it's gonna happen.
No, but here's the best part.
Nice.
Graham and Ryan join Gwen and Ianto and Jack. That's my pitch. That absolutely can't happen. I mean, we're in the timeline of Minecraft, Steve, and Smash. Anything can happen now. Literally anything. Anyway, this is the point where I'm fired off of the BBC writing staff for pitching that idea. But go ahead.
You were on the BBC writing staff?
No, I'm saying I would. If I would have just been fired for pitching that. So
it's the fucking the meme where it's like, well, we need so and so, and it's two people saying one thing and then one person says another thing, and it's just a shot of them getting like kicked out a window.
Look, I'm a trans woman wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt. Of course, I'm going to be on the BBC writing staff to perpetuate the SJW agenda. Of course, that's what's happening here. Anyway, Torchwood. Yeah, I like this episode.
Torchwood. I wasn't the biggest fan of this episode. It was not great at holding my attention, I'll be honest. I kept getting distracted.
Yeah.
I didn't think there was too much going on here. I don't know. It just didn't grab me.
Yeah, that's fair. I like the idea of like that's some prime body horror shit of like having like, cause like that's like an actual thing that bugs do with other animals that aren't us, or like people corpses. So like having that happen to someone who's still alive is like some fucking prime body horror.
Yeah, I was thinking while watching it, like the amount of stuff that streaming sci-fi like TV-14, TVMA shows get away with now. Like, in all seriousness, a Torchwood revival with storytelling like this would probably be like way more horrifying than even back then. So, yeah, I appreciated the body horror, like discomfort side of things as well.
Yeah. Also they play fucking Feel Good Inc. by Gorillaz in the scene where like Gwen, I mean sorry, Martha and Owen are doing science stuff, which is pretty fucking That's neat. Anyway, yeah, it's a good episode. Like I feel like I had to, because like this part is like the first episode of like sort of like a little 3 episode mini arc. I knew I had to split it up somewhere, and I decided to bite the bullet and put it here so it all lined up. I yeah, like I'm interested to see, because like I only sort of have vague memories of where it goes from here, and I'm interested to see that. But like I definitely feel like some of the things I could say here like or like things that I feel like I'm coming up short on is because this is kind of the first part of an arc. But it's a good setup part to an arc and has a good like haha gotcha surprise ending. um so yeah, I like it's a solid episode, solid B.
Yeah,
Again, like I this like 2008 to me just really feels like when the Hooniverse was really firing on all cylinders.
yeah, I think you could make a solid case for that. I agree with basically everything you said. As I've said throughout this, I remember specific things from the overall arc of Torchwood 1. I knew was that, like, Owen basically ends up kind of being the inverse of what Jack is. So I knew that was coming. I knew Martha would show up in season 2, but as you said, like, I really don't know where it goes from here, so that'll be interesting. I would give this episode a B+, but unfortunately, Martha does not interact with Reese, so I gotta bump it down to a B.
Ooh, shit, you're right. I don't think she does too. I'm not sure. I can't remember if she does or not. Fuck.
Well, she might in the future. I just 99% sure she doesn't in this episode.
What Martha never interacts with Reese because the two of them would be so powerful that they'd absorb all the other characters and just have their own spin-off show.
Big Finish, get on it.
Yeah. Celeste?
I'd say, I definitely do like the concept. I thought it just was like not the most interesting episode to me personally. So I'd probably say it's like around a 6. It doesn't do anything bad, and I get why it's an enjoyable episode, but just for me, it wasn't grabbing me.
Yeah, definitely. So next week we will be discussing series 2, episodes 7 and 8, Dead Man Walking and A Day in the Death. Until then, you can support the podcast, follow the pod. I'm gonna cut that out and restart that read again. Until then, you can follow the podcast on Twitter at B2TARDISPod. You can support us on Patreon for a number of benefits like early access to episodes, listening in live to recordings, and potentially even guest starring on an episode of your choosing. I'm Jeff. You can follow me on Twitter at WheatleyDL and on Twitch at WheatleyDLT.
I have signed up for Radigan's breeding program, and you can find me on Twitter at SkyHigh 9_5.
Oh my god.
You keep getting fucking upstaged, Jesus.
I mean, it's not my thing as much anymore. So Sky can,
true.
Can have it.
Fair enough.
Here every week.
And I'm Celeste.
Yeah. One other thing. After in like the next few weeks, like after we're not doing talking about 3 episodes a week, we will probably be doing another bonus episode. And the way I'm going to do these is I'm actually going to stage it in 2 sets of polls. The first set for this week is going to be determining whether or not it's another 7 episode, another classic episode, or a Big Finish story. And then the second round the next week will determine what specific story we're looking at. So yeah, stay tuned for on our like keep an eye on our Twitter for that. In fact, the poll will probably be up before this episode gets launched. Like, I'll probably just go on Twitter once we're done recording and put it up. So yeah, until then, see you all next week.